through, so thank you very much.
My name's Jeff Foster. My wife and I own 35 Oak Drive. To shorten the whole story up, we're trying to sell the property. We had it under contract in April. The buyers wanted some type of a consent agreement. Since then, they opted out, and I've been trying to work with the code enforcement in the town to get some type of resolution on a consent agreement so we can get this place sold. So I've been working on this for 6 months, and a lot of parameters have changed, a lot of questions can't be answered, and we've gotten to the point where we're here at the council meetings trying to get some resolutions. I tried to, I relisted it, I think it was June, with a different broker. I did have some substantial errors in the listings. I believe most of them fixed, but I had some buyers with that listing, thinking maybe that would encourage the town to move on their end, and that didn't work. So at this point, I guess we're looking to find some answers to where the $23,000 fine comes from and how it was raised to $25,000. And that's the question I have still tonight. Maybe we can get a resolve to this, and so we can move on.
Any questions for Jeff? Chris? Waynesboro has stuck around as well, so Tom, thank you for staying. If you could just provide us some of the code insights on that as well.
Okay, so what you have is we sent the Fosters a notice violation. Well, we didn't send them a notice violation. We sent them a letter outlining what the violations are in the house and stuff. And so Mr. Foster's in possession of the property now. Whether he did it or whether he didn't do it is immaterial. It was changed. So in theory, we shouldn't be doing this consent. What we should do is be asking him to tear the camp down and remove the second structure from the property. You're only supposed to have one principal structure on the property. And that's probably what the planning board did at the time. They didn't have authority to allow a second structure onto the property. So that's what created the problem in the first place. All right? And so we've come up, so with the fine, so what we did is, it's been discovered because he's selling it, that there's two structures on the property, and of course it doesn't pass the straight face test. So when you go to it, so when something in the code business, when it looks like a duck and it walks like a duck, it's always the duck and stuff. And so that's what happens. And so unfortunately, Jeff's the owner at this point and stuff like that. So he asked about where the property, the fine came from for the 23.3. So what we did is we took, and he allowed the assessor to go up and take a look at the cottage as it is currently. All right? And so his current assessment of it is 33.8, and what it was being assessed for was $10,500. So we took that $10,500, which was the current value that he'd been paying taxes on, and you take the 33.8 and just subtract that, and that gives you $23,300. So that's where we came up with that number. So that's his increased value that he's realizing on this property, on a shoreline property, without ever having anybody get any building permits or doing any of that. So that's where that comes from. So it's it's a reasonable number. It's pretty low in shoreline fines and everything like that, but I mean, you've had shoreline fines for other things here in town that have been $80,000 and everything like that. So it's, and if you did go to court with this, the courts have been very receptive to this kind of problem. You know, they've been very sided with the towns and everything like that. And you could go back and ask for $100 a day, you know, so if it's for the known time and everything like that, you know, you make some assumptions there, so. It's not an unreasonable amount, and in the increased value of the property. So what the assessor has told us that probably next year the evaluation just on that cottage alone will be the $64,400 will be the appraised value next year. So when he gets through all the reevaluation. So we came up with a compromise. You know, we don't know whose real fault it is, or whether, you know, whether it's Jeff's or whether it was the previous owner or what it was. And so what the consent does is it allows for that second unit to stay there, prohibits a functional division of the property, because if you have two properties on a, you know, two dwelling units on a property, and you can go through the functional division process if you can meet that criteria of the functional division, which was established when we did the Saco River corridor deal. So you have to go through and see how that all worked out. It doesn't really make the straight face test on the functional division, you know, from what the records say. You know. This is supposed to be a shed on the property, you know, from when the owner got year-round residency of the home that he built there. I can't remember the guy's name.
What was the $100 a day fine amount? Did you calculate?
I didn't, no.
How long it's been since Jeff was notified of the violation, roughly, or?
I don't. Not right offhand. Any other questions, Steve? Bob? Joe? Good for you?
No, I'm assuming that the figure is your recommendation.
Well, I thought it was a pretty fair recommendation. You know, it's so a lot of, you're allowed to go back and you're allowed to, in penalty, you're allowed to go back and realize that added gain of the value and stuff. This is a pretty good compromise on that. You know, there may have been some mistakes made by the town along the way, or stuff like that. We're not, you know, trying to judge that out at this with a consent agreement. We're just trying to give him an opportunity to be able to move on. There'd be some restrictions in there. The cottage would not be able to, if more than 50% damaged, it'll go away. It wouldn't be allowed to be rebuilt, you know, like it would on a normal property. And that'll carry forward with whoever owns it.
Jason, any questions?
Yeah, I just might have heard that right. So initially, they thought it may have germinated from the planning board. So you said initially that.
So initially, the owner at the time went in, got a seasonal conversion.
Right.
Approval from the planning board to build a new structure on the property and make it as your own home.
Okay.
All right. At that time, in the minutes of the planning board, it said this was going to become a shed on the property.
Okay. Now, just on the calculation, now, the big, if you're looking at, if you're going to, one way to do a metric on that, and just Mr. Foster did not agree with the 23,000, I would assume, or 25, because he wasn't part of that negotiation, but just the resolution about who did what happened, you know, the mistakes.
Well, it doesn't assign any blame.
Right.
You know, it's just him cleaning up the property so it'll be marketable. You know, and so the remaining, you know, so how we get to 25,000 or whatever that other number is going to be builder permit fees. So there's, you know, because I haven't been to the property yet.
Right.
You know, so I still don't know, you know, if he needs egress windows or if there's smoke detectors in the structure, or any of that stuff. So he hasn't obtained any builder permits, which would be part of this.
Built into what you mean there, so.
Right. After the fact plumbing permits, after the fact electrical permits.
That's not going to be on top of this, though, correct?
No, that goes on top of the 23, yeah, and stuff. And so I think this is typically what you do with that, and then you collect your attorney's fees for all this time on this. So, so I think the intent was that Deb just rounded it up to try to cover some of the attorney's fees and collect that, and not have to worry about doing all the bills.
We have numbers for the attorney, so we have some.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't have any problem with them, because it's the way it costs us from the attorney fee.
It's typically in a consent agreement, you don't, it doesn't, your attorney fees are always covered in that. That's the one thing that, my time is not allowed to be recovered for in the law. So what I've put into it or anything like that, it's not anything more than double permit fees, that's all from me. But your attorney fees are always allowed to be recovered,
Questions?
I don't have any questions.
A couple questions I had, Tom. How large is the lot? I can't remember.
The lot's only 23, no, that's not, the lot's not very big. Half acre, maybe?
Quarter acre.
Yeah, .44 or something like that. Yeah,
So it's a non-conforming lot in the shoreline zone.
it's a non-conforming lot in the shoreline zone. Yeah, so at the time that it came in, so there's basically the same rules were in effect at the time that this was done that are in effect now. They've been tweaked a little bit, but, same setback requirements, all of that stuff. So the new home is located beyond the 100 feet. It's year-round. It did the seasonal conversion with the planning board at that time.
And I read the planning board minutes related to them. It seemed like they were approving the location of the single family, like the new modular home on there.
Yeah.
But any thoughts as to why they allowed a bathroom to stay in the other building?
I couldn't answer that.
But the other thought
I
was,
don't know why. They wouldn't have authority, they wouldn't have authority to do any of that. But, sometimes you have an outbuilding with a toilet in it, and that's not uncommon.
I know I have, and you go up on a lake, the same deal. You go there, and adults stay in the camp, and they send the kids to the shed, and you hang out and you camp there, and then it just develops. That happens. I think that's probably a logical solution, but probably is. Then they start, then you think, well, why not turn it into a, seasonal instead of one holder?
Right.
but at the time of the planning board decision that happened, when they allowed the person who located the modular on there,
Yeah?
legal permissibility was for only one single family or one residential unit,
One dwelling unit. Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they wouldn't have had enough area to have, you'd have to create another lot to have another dwelling unit.
And
Shoreline doesn't allow it.
And the reason we're running into it now is when Jeff goes to sell it, if you will, the surveyor goes in, he looks at it, he sees the second unit, goes to the code file and says, this is an illegal second unit. Pretty much, and then it gets kicked out.
Right, yeah.
Go to the title.
The title guys are all over it. I mean, there's nothing that comes through my office that hasn't been by a title guy.
Yeah.
So it's,
But
that's a problem.
With the
I'm sorry.
underwriting standards probably different. I mean, I know, quite frankly, what happened in 2008, the whole world changed when it came to
Yeah.
what the underwriters were looking at, the title guys were looking at.
Could
Now they're all-
have been a cash sale. A cash sale, it wouldn't have been a problem anyway. If his first customer had come through and bought it cash, there would be no issue. They would have just bought it. It's the lending institutions now that don't like any irregularity.
Jeff, just trying to figure it out. Nothing got ticked when you purchased it?
What year did you buy it, if you don't mind me asking? Wow, really? Okay. Oh, okay. Just trying to figure that out. I mean, as far as how it ever got interpreted that it was legal. Obviously, I mean, from the assessing side of it, you're gonna assess what's Well, over there,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe it was a shed.
Because we never had the opportunity to take a look at it. We never gained entry to the property.
Well, we wouldn't be involved in a sale.
No, I meant from like any property inspections or anything along those lines.
No, John Brushwine's the only one that's been in. No, because there's an enforcement potential here, I didn't break curtilage on the property. So I turned around the driveway one time, that's it.
Okay.
I'm very,
Now, on the assessment card, Debbie just pointed out, it shows the cottage and then it has written on it for storage only, and then see below.
right. Yes, and then later on, whoever was doing the assessing for the town had in a reval had picked up the shed as more valuable and stuff like that. I mean, that was an early assessing card, probably when he put the house there and stuff like that. Yeah. But looking through the file, there's also the I can't remember the guy's name that owned it. But anyway, he submitted the first time septic system for 5 bedrooms. And that was rejected, and
It was rejected. the card
yeah,
system.
Frank McNeese,
Yeah.
he was the one that did the seasonal conversion and all that, and he applied for 5 bedrooms in his septic plan, and that was rejected and only issued as a 3-bedroom.
How many bedrooms are in the single-family home that exists?
3 bedrooms.
So the shed is okay, so it's not based on the number of baths, it's based on the number of beds, so,
Right. Yeah, septics are based on bedrooms.
okay,
Yeah, even then.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm just looking at the minutes, I mean, you got 3 people on planning board that have places on the lake. Okay. I mean, it's amazing, it really is amazing. Boom, boom, boom. Pam's on the issue. So that is, they would be definitely knowledgeable. I mean, that was the minutes, this Pam Wilkinson, Sylvia Caswell, Dick Dyer, John Wells, Richard Bonson, and Elise Schultz, and Dick Dyer. Well, 4 actually with Dick, so. That's-
All right, thanks, Tom. Jeff, any additional info you'd like to give to? Please.
First of all, it was, it's always, as far as I've been told and what I saw when I bought it, the place was being used to live in. And so, any phrase of reverting back to dwelling is pure speculation. The planning board minutes is extremely vague. One sentence says that you have to hook the bathroom up to the cottage. To me, a cottage is not a shed. But I guess the real issue here is why has the town waited 27 or 28 years to go after Jeff Foster? It's been a very long time. And you guys, what you mentioned tonight, have been attacked in a sense unfairly, and I can kind of share some of that right now. I bought this place in good faith. Everything looked good. The bank was good. The title search was good. I have title insurance. All of that's good. I felt comfortable. At no point when I was buying did anybody come up to me and say, hey, this is in question. All these years, I just find it fascinating that all of a sudden I'm the guy holding the problem. All these years. I was comfortable with the $2,000, and I'd agree to the other stipulations. I think that's fair. If it's the town status that it shouldn't have been that way, I think it's reasonable that the town take their fair share of the hit too, if they did it wrong in 1986. I don't see it right that I take all the hit, paying all the lawyer fees, everything else. It just, to me, doesn't seem right as a taxpayer. And I get it. That's just about all I can say. We've been over and over this. It's been 6 months. I really need to get this over with. It's costing me $50 a day to own that. Taxes, insurance, maintenance, repair, the bank, all of that stuff. And I really need to move on. I believe 6 months is enough. And if we could get this done with something reasonable tonight, that'll end it for both of us, I'll deal with $2,000 plus the others. I struggle confessing to something that I didn't do. I don't feel I rightly should be penalized for something I didn't do. I struggle with that personally, but I'll deal with it. So I could live with $2,000 and have that, the other restrictions such as summer use only, non-functional divide, and so forth. So if you could help me out and get through this, I would greatly appreciate it.
Can I ask you just a couple of quick questions too?
Yeah.
What was the original purchase price back in 2010?
I think we paid $218 or $219. Both places needed attention.
Yeah.
The 3-bedroom, I think they had housed dogs in there.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's funny.
Yeah. So I'm the lucky one to pick it up.
And you invested, how much do you forecast you may have invested in the property?
Oh, if I figured my labor, I dare say well over 70 or 80,000.
And you're looking to get $289 for it now?
I'd like to break even or lose as little as possible.
Okay.
But we enjoyed it. I had my daughter and son-in-law there, and we really enjoyed the place. So that's not fair to say that I should make money on it. But
No, but if you had to hire somebody to do that work, to have done it, you would equate it to roughly 70 grand above and beyond what you
yeah,
asked for.
yeah, easy.
Okay. Any other questions for Jeff? Pete?
I propose that we reduce the fine to $5,000.
Is there? And everything else within the consent agreement? Okay. Okay. Is there a second on that?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any thoughts on that?
I just think there's enough possibility of error here,
Mhm.
probably both parties' part, but it's not black and white, it's just a thought.
Yep.
My own personal feeling from hearing evidence the last 2 meetings.
Mhm.
I'm just, from my standpoint, just from I'm looking who's on the planning board. I mean, you have, you say we don't have any, people say we don't have any professionals on committees. Well, I think Pam Wilkinson knows a thing or two about lakes. She was on planning board at the time. I think John Welsh does. I think they all did. But they have 4 people that live there. Putting that into context is a big difference as far as how that works. I mean, from my standpoint, so I'm thinking, I wouldn't see a consensus with the Carters in that aspect on that. You saw that, right, on that?
Yep.
Any thoughts on the motion?
I'm in favor of reducing fee. I just haven't made up my mind what the reduction looks like. I guess I'm curious to if there's any sort of methodology behind
Just trying to get it settled.
Yeah, and I concur, and I'd like to get this settled, so I would be in favor of that.
Lou, any thoughts? I'll just say, I mean, I think it's reasonable. I think you capture probably the couple and then the additional areas there. I do think, looking at what you put into it and where you entered, it's not as if you're gaining, you're making a big financial gain, that is sometimes the question. You know what I mean? If you create the second unit, did you make an extra 50 grand on it because of that? But in this case, it's, yeah, no kidding. So, but I would also agree with Peter, in order to get it done, I would be in favor of that, but I also think, yeah, things have just changed, whereas, and even in 2010, they should have caught that. You know, the title guy should have caught it, but things, you know, 2008 really changed a little what the underwriters were looking at, and those types of things where they pop up more regularly now, whereas back then they didn't as much, so. Yeah, I'm good to go forward on that too, so we have a motion and a second, back to the station. Oh, Tom, sure.
So what I have a question, is this inclusive of all building permits, or you're just going to do 35,000 and that's it for everything?
I think that's what Pete was thinking, that would be inclusive.
Okay, and just that includes just reissuing a certificate of occupancy? Okay. That's going to be the, you know, I had about 6 more of these. Yep.
Well,
So that's going to be the going rate.
looking at it, yeah, okay, let's see where we go from there, so, but, no, thank you. Any other comments, questions? Did you hear the motion, a second, all in favor? 5-0, oh, opposed? 4-1 on that, Nancy, thank you. Jeff, thanks, thank you for your patience, as well as for staying with us for 2 meetings.